Hey guys, what's up? It's ItsAnnaLouise and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is so special. I have not stopped thinking about filming this since it got requested, and I'm just so ready. I have been like so pumped to do this. I got requested to film my first impressions that I had on my husband and our love story, like mine and my husband's story, everything about it, like a whole story time, you know? And I'm just honestly so excited to do it. This will be full of pictures and everything. You're going to get to know everything from start to where we are right now. And we've been together for 6 years, y'all. 6 years. This March, like this month right now on the 8th, made 6 years. And honestly, I love our love story. I think that it's very special and it makes me happy to think about, but reminiscing sometimes just like it gets me in my feels. So you guys are lucky I'm doing this, because I don't want to be in my feels, because I don't want to get all like emo and stuff, you know? But anyway, if you guys want to know the story time behind mine and my husband's relationship, our love story, and my first impressions that I had on him when I first laid eyes on him, then make sure to subscribe to my channel before you leave and hit that bell notification so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. That being said, let's hop right on in. Alright you guys, so I'm also going to insert wedding pictures from our wedding at the end, because I said ever since like before we got married that I would have a wedding video, and I never put it up because life got hectic and crazy after we got married. Nothing to do with me and him, it's just stuff with my life and my health and just crazy stuff. But I will insert some pictures too from that at the end, but let's go ahead and begin. So the first impression of my husband, I'm gonna have to give a little back info because I can't just go straight to it. Okay, so this was in high school. Me and my husband were high school sweethearts. I was a year below him, he's a year above me. When we very first met, I was a sophomore and he was a junior in high school. And also, just to let you guys know, because this is gonna set the scene, my husband was a wrestler. He wrestled from middle school through high school and even in college for a year. And I met him because of wrestling. So like I said, my husband was a wrestler, and me in high school, I was part of the wrestling team that I was a mat girl. So what a mat girl is essentially is they help out on the wrestling team. It's a group of girls who they learn how to keep score on different wrestling things. That is really hard because you just got to learn all the moves, get it written down, and I don't know, it's just a lot. You learn how to do that. You do like the time board thing, and you do a thing called towel tapping, which means you're on the mat. Like you stand on the mat when it's almost time for the match to be up, and you like hit the referee on the back, essentially with a pool noodle. That's exactly what we freaking did. Anyway, I did that because my mom was like, you need to get involved, make some new friends, blah blah blah. And honestly, not gonna lie, I went ahead and did this because my friend invited me to, and I knew there would be a lot of cute boys, and that was where my mind was, because I'm not gonna lie, I was a very boy crazy girl. So not a good thing either, but alright, so that sets the scene. I want to begin with, this was when I very first joined to be a mat girl, and we all had to go like practice, like knowing what to do when the guys, like the wrestling team, so some of them, they helped coach the little kids, like little bitty kids, like elementary school kids. And it's like the cutest thing ever. It's like the high school boys helping little bitty kids, and it was just like a swoon, like that's so freaking cute kind of thing. And we went to go help out with that, and they were all like dressed nice, like in button down and khaki kind of thing, and they were helping the little kids. And at that point in time, I was talking to a different guy on the wrestling team. It's really weird. I do want to say that throughout my whole entire life, most every single boy I've dated or talked to was a wrestler, and I don't know how it ended up that way, but also all the guys I dated, they all played sports, whether it was wrestling, football, soccer, something like that. And all of them, I'm pretty positive all of them at one point in time that I like truly dated and not just talked to, were on the freaking wrestling team at some point in time. It's just really weird how that ended up. It's just weird things to think about. But I had went with a friend at the time who was there and another friend, and we were sitting there, and I remember that the friend who invited me to be on the Matt Girl thing, let's just call her Jamie. So Jamie dated the captain of the wrestling team, and then she was like talking to us, and she's like, well, what boy should you talk to? Which one do you think's cute? To all of us. Of course I liked a different guy at the time. I didn't even know my husband existed, but the friend that I came with knew of my husband. Of course, he wasn't obviously my husband at that time, and she had a crush on him. I didn't know who he was, but he was there that day helping the little kids, and I remember like sitting on her lap, and we were all in a little girl circle talking about what guys we thought were cute, and she had said Bryce, like, I think Bryce is cute, and I was like, who's that? And as soon as I said, who's that, I turned around and she pointed, and I can still see the scene in my eyes right now. It was my husband in khakis and a striped button-up shirt. It was green, almost positive, and he was helping a little kid, and I just locked eyes on him, and here's the first impression. I thought he was so freaking cute. I remember it, and I feel like I will never forget that moment. I thought he was so cute, and she had the crush on him, but in my mind, I mean, I didn't say anything. I was just like, yeah, he's really cute, like in my mind. And I thought it was cute how he was helping like the little kids and everything. Also keep in mind too, back in the day, my husband has shaggy hair, and I was only into shaggy haired guys for the most part. Like the Justin Bieber hair style, yeah. That's what I was into back in the day, and most every single guy I dated had the Justin Bieber haircut in some way, shape, form, or fashion. That's just what I thought was hot back then. So anyway, she showed me him. We went on our merry little way. I still was talking to the one guy on the wrestling team, and then it came time for homecoming week. And I was actually on the homecoming court that year, so only seniors could be the homecoming queen, but then there was like the court, and so I was a homecoming attendant for my grade that year, and we had homecoming week, and this was the very first time I ever talked to my husband. So we had this thing called Fan Frenzy, which is on Thursdays. Girls, like, you can sign up to play powder puff football. You get to go outside and watch that and just hang out and have a really good time. So I don't know why I was doing this, but I think I just wanted to see where the guy I had a crush on was at the time, because I think he was helping out at a booth. And I was with my friends, and I was going to go walk by the football field. So I went to go walk, and then there my husband was with his friend. They're still friends to this day. The guy that he was with actually married us at our wedding, and I don't know why I feel like I'm gonna get emotional, but I do. He and his friend walked by, they saw me, and he came up to me and he was like, hey, can I have $1? And I was like, I don't have one. And then he was like joking with me, and he was like, come on, and everything like that. And I don't really remember exactly what he said, but my husband that's one thing about him. He's like the funny guy. He's always been about jokes and funniness. He's all that kind of stuff. So he was like trying to joke around with me, and I thought he was cute, so I kind of flirted back, and that was really it. Him and his friend just walked on, and that was the first time I talked to him, and I knew who he was at that point. So I was like, okay, tonight I'm just gonna go add him as a friend on Facebook. So that night I was sitting on my couch. I went and typed his name in on Facebook, of course, Bryce, and I don't give out my last name. Even when I do transactions for betas and everything, the name that it says is not even my last name. So that's just something I don't give out. But anyway, I typed in his name, and he popped up. I added him as a friend, and as soon as I added him as a friend, he messaged me, and he's like, hey, do I know you? That was just a way for him to, we're freaking high schoolers, okay, don't judge. That was like a way, I guess, for him to talk to me. I'm like, no, but I'm a Matt girl, and like, I know you're on the wrestling team, blah blah blah. And so we started talking through Facebook, and at the time I didn't know it, but he told me years later that when he got my number, he told me that his phone was about to die. No, wait, I forgot what he told me. He told me something in order to get my number. It wouldn't be that his phone was about to die, because he texted me. But anyway, and I texted him, and then we started to talk over text, and I kid you not, with my husband, it came natural. Like, most guys I could not be myself around, like my true self. I was always just trying to be a certain way, you know, like not showing him my true self, because my true self, honey, me and my friends, we have the weirdest sense of humor, always goofing off, a little bit loud, and you know, like I always just had to be like this prim and proper girl to guys, just to like be what I thought that I should be, you know what I'm saying? I just couldn't truly be myself. And there's only 2 guys really ever that I've ever been able to be my true self around. One of them's another guy, and the other one's been my husband, but truly my husband was the main one. I could joke, be stupid and silly with him, and it was different, and we talked all the time and texted. But even though I thought he was cute, I had just gotten out of a long relationship with my first like true boyfriend, not just a piddly middle school relationship. Me and this guy had dated all through freshman year, first real relationship. And you know, I thought he was so cute, but I was not ready to date yet. And so we kind of just had this flirty friendship. But I know he liked me, but he hadn't really had a girlfriend at that point. But he asked me to go to the movies, and I was like, yeah, but we never freaking went. It was kind of bad because we talked through like the wrestling season. But get this, when we would go to wrestling matches where he would wrestle and I was a mat girl, we were too scared to talk to each other in person. I would run and try to avoid him. So that's fun. Like I said, I was in high school. I was 16. Don't judge. And then I remember this one time we finally saw each other in person and talked. It was so, I was so nervous. We were at a wrestling match, and I was sitting at the table, and I was trying to keep score. Like I said, you had to know and write down the move that happened, the number of points the person got, all this stuff. And we sat down, and he was like teaching me, and we flirted like with this pencil, and I wasn't really paying attention. We were just flirting back and forth, and someone came and got him and like made him move away from me because we just wouldn't stop like flirting. We just got along really well. And unfortunately after that, the original guy I was talking to on the wrestling team just was an asshole, to be completely honest, and said some mean things to my now husband Bryce about how like, oh, she doesn't freaking like you, she likes me. And after that, you know, he loved his friends, and my husband has always stayed really loyal to his friends to this day. And he was just like, you know what, I don't even need a girlfriend, like screw this. And he kind of got his feelings hurt and backed away from me, and I also wasn't really ready for a relationship, so I kind of just let it happen. And after that, he didn't really talk to me. So after that first initial, you know, talking phase that we went through, we went 7, 8, 9, around a year, a little less than a year, where we didn't talk. Unfortunately, I got with a terrible guy and started dating him. He got with a different girl, and even though we were both with different relationships, this other guy that I dated was on the wrestling team, and we were still around each other because I was a freaking mat girl, and I still looked at him, and I missed him deep down so freaking much. And you know, he told me to this day like that he, you know, missed me, and like we would look at each other, and I thought he freaking hated my guts, but I still was so interested in him. A couple of times his PE class would merge with mine, and I would tell my friends like, let's stay in here, because I just wanted to be around him. And like I really did miss him. I was in a really bad relationship at that time, and it was really close even before me and the bad guy broke up, that I got one of my old phones out, the old phone, and I still had all of mine and my husband's messages. And I remember scrolling and reading them and just crying because he was so freaking sweet. I could be myself around him. He was a great guy. I called him Bruce. That was my nickname for him because my autocorrect on my phone wouldn't say Bryce. So his nickname to me was Bruce, and I was in this really abusive relationship, and I remember just reading that and just really missing him, and you know, it just really sucked. But I thought he hated my freaking guts. I really did. And I know he was hurt, and it was just a really tough situation. But When I got out of my abusive relationship, I was a junior now, and then my husband was a senior, and here's what happened, okay? Look, in my life, a backstory, I'm a firm believer in if you want something, anything, go for it and you'll get it. Like, that's my mindset, okay? And I've done that quite a bit in my life. Like, I had really bad anxiety and issues that I won't go into my freshman year, and when it became sophomore and I was on the homecoming court, like, look, we had to put on a performance. I think there was like 7 to 10 of us on the homecoming court. I had to dance and put on a show with just 7 other people in front of the whole entire school in the gym at a pep rally. I had to go in front of everyone at the football field that night, get crowned, do things that my anxiety would never allow me to do, but I knew I wanted it and I knew I wanted to do it. I got voted for, I got it, and I pushed through it. My mind was on the goal and I freaking got to it. That was a true testament of doing anything that I put my mind to, because you guys, at one point my anxiety was so freaking bad that the teachers had to let me out of school, like out of class, I mean 5 minutes early to get to my next class without throwing up. Like, I went through a really bad time in my freshman year. I haven't went into that with you guys don't know, but a lot of bad stuff with my health, and I did it. I was one of 10 people who dressed up and put on a freaking performance in front of the whole entire school and plus more. So it was a really big deal, and there was just different things like that that I put my mind to get, and I freaking got it because I put my mind to it. And so anyway, me and this bad guy broke up, and I went through a really hard time after my abusive relationship of missing him, wanting him back, which was really, really bad, but I couldn't come to terms with that mentally at that point in time. But it was getting towards prom season. Now, juniors and seniors are the ones who go to prom in high school. The other, grades aren't allowed unless you're dating someone that is a junior or a senior. So I was out of the abusive relationship for quite a few months at this time, and even when I was in my abusive relationship, and this is the truth because I remember it to a T, I would think, and I'm like, I don't even find any other guy attractive. Like, I'm not ever gonna like anyone but him, except for Bryce. Like, Bryce was the first person to come in mind, like, kind of like the person to save me in a way. Like, every time I would think I'm not gonna find anyone, there's nobody I care about but him, and it was always coming back to my husband. And he had broken up with this girlfriend at this time. He was single, but really just dedicated to having his friends and going to parties, doing all that high school stuff. I wasn't like that, and he wasn't actually the first time I had talked to him. One thing that I truly loved about him from the beginning was he wasn't afraid to hang out with his mom. He wasn't trying to play tough guy. He would be like, oh yeah, I'm watching a movie with my mom, and I'm like, so am I, what the heck? Because usually guys would be like, blah 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 blah, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, like, I don't hang out with my parents. But like, he did, and I saw that soft part in him, and I loved it. And anyway, I really, really wanted him back, and I was freaking determined, okay? I didn't have his phone number or anything, but I would lie in bed and cry and be like, I really wish I wouldn't have missed that opportunity with him. I was so brokenhearted. Even my mom was like, he was the best one. Why'd you let him go? And I'm like, dadgummit, woman. It was just really, really hard. And I remember, like, what the heck am I gonna do? So he worked at Sonic as a cook during high school, like during that time, and I had a friend that worked at Sonic, and I'm like, can you like get his number for me somehow? Like, put in a good word. And then I also talked to like other people that had classes with him, and I was like bound and determined to get his number because I really, really wanted to talk to him and be like, hey, can we sit down and talk together? I would really like to mend things. And I remember getting his number, and he shot me down. He was like, no, like, I'm not looking into anything right now, blah blah blah. And like, he didn't want to get into anything, and I was heartbroken. And unfortunately, my abusive ex tried to work his way in my life, make me a secret, and stuff like that. And I went through some harder times dealing with that, and kind of pushed it aside. But then I came back again, and like I said, prom was about to happen, and my husband at that time had made a post, like a joke post, and he's like, who wants to go to prom with me? And my mom was like, ask him, just ask him. And I was scared because he had shot me down once. And I remember having dreams, literal dreams at night, imagining me and him at prom together, like dancing, and I'd be so happy, and I would wake up that morning and like cry. It was bad, but you know, I texted him. I remember it 100%, like I remember it as clear as day. I was sitting on my couch texting this other guy friend that I had, and I ended up, you know, texting him, and I'm like, hey, I saw, you know, your post, and I'm like, come to prom with me. And he said, I don't know. And I was like, come on, it'll be fun, blah 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 blah. And he was like, I'll have to think about it, I'll let you know. He shot me down, y'all. But you know what, at least it wasn't a hard no, it was a question. And I still was really upset about it. I'm like, he's not gonna want to go with me. And it took a couple of weeks, and I didn't talk to him during that time. I was sitting at work in my family's store. My aunt owned a store, and me and my family worked at it. I was sitting with my mom, my grandma, my aunt was in there. I was sitting editing some photos, and I got a text from him, and he said, I'll go to prom with you. I remember like being so happy, and my mom was like, congratulations. And I remember us being like, I got a date to prom, like all excited when I was at work. And he accepted, and I was just over the freaking moon because I had missed him so much. And it wasn't easy from there either, but I remember texting him and being like, hey, we should get together and hang out before we go to prom so that it won't be awkward, like we need to get together beforehand. And he agreed. So anyway, I remember going to dinner that night with my parents, and we told my dad that I got a date to prom, and I remember showing him his picture, and I was just so happy. And at that point, actually a different guy had asked me to prom. He was like, on Valentine's Day we went to the movies, he's like, yeah, I'll go to prom with you. But he actually, we weren't dating, but he was like, hey, I think I'm gonna get back with my old girlfriend, so no prom. So I forgot to mention that. So it's a blessing that he said no to prom after all. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I'm here to pick up Casey, you know what I'm saying? Well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying. What's your name, man? Scotty P, you know what I'm saying?
Because then that wouldn't have happened. So it's just a blessing that this guy got back with his girlfriend. But anyway, I was gonna be going to prom, and then we made a date to hang out, and he backed out of it, and I was like devastated. But what I didn't know then was that my abusive ex-boyfriend, which he didn't know he was abusive at this time, okay, was at his house, and he thought it would be awkward because they were friends. And I found out that the reason why he turned me down at first, why he shot me down, is because like him and my abusive ex-boyfriend were friends, and he was going over to his house, and he was too scared. He wasn't scared, but he was like, it's weird that I'm talking to you now, because like the bro code, like, you know, dating each other's exes, it's kind of weird. But anyway, I didn't know that at that time, but he came over to work on homework, so that's why he couldn't come over. But we made an appointment. We made another date to hang out, and you guys, this ring right here, I'm about to tell you the story behind this. So on March 8th of 2015, we made the arrangements to hang out, and I remember him trying to find like the way to get to my house. He was on the phone with me, and I'm like, yeah, like just go down this road, blah blah blah, turn here, blah blah blah. And get this, on the way to my house, and this is just how sweet he is, he saw a little girl outside having a lemonade stand because she was trying to raise money for vacation, a little girl, and he stopped at it and bought lemonade, and he asked if I wanted any. I'm like, that's just so freaking sweet. But he picked me up, we went to the freaking Hastings where you could rent movies. It was so awkward because I was shy and really nervous around him, and he was nervous too. We picked out a few movies. One of them was Scream. Another one was some kind of Will Ferrell movie, I don't remember. And we were making awkward small talk, but I was like so determined, even though it was awkward. We came back to watch the movies, and I kid you not, we were sitting on the couch, and like as so many minutes went by, he would scoot closer to me till we were like touching, like, you know, leg to leg kind of thing. We were just like scooting closer and closer, and I was bound and determined to make conversation and like try to break the nervousness. So I just remember like asking him things and like trying to be like, you know, get to know him more in person. And it just got to where like we were talking, we were easing into things, opening up more. And I remember he put his hand on my knee, and it was just so funny because we started out sitting apart, and then it was like closer, closer, hand on my knee, and we just like completely opened up. And you guys, we talked for hours. We opened up. I apologize for what happened like the first time we talked. We told each other everything. I knew I could trust him. He made me laugh. He was so sweet and so funny. We talked for hours, and I remember I broke down and just told him everything about how abusive my ex was. He had no idea, and he just felt terrible. And I remember him, it was dark at this point. We were laying on my couch, and he was just holding me, and I was telling him everything, which was the first time I had told anyone. Like, I never told my friends anything like that, but I was able to open up to him, telling him everything, and it was really special. And then he kissed me, and that was really special. And I remember when he kissed me, I thought in my head, oh my god, I cannot believe Bryce blank last name is kissing me right now. It was really special. And I remember it was like getting late, like 10, which was when he originally had to go home, and I was like, can he please stay? Can he please stay a little longer? Because we were having the best time. And from that moment, we just clicked, and I knew something was special. And from that day, you guys, we were freaking inseparable. So from that day, it was going to be spring break. We saw each other every single solitary day. So like the next day, he went to a party, and he came late to my house, and we sat on my porch. He gave me his hoodie, and he just cuddled me, and we just talked and talked. And then the next day, I snuck over to his house. Yeah, no one was home. I snuck, and then his mom's girlfriend came home, and he was freaking out. I was like, I got this. I remember having to hide in his closet until she left because I wasn't supposed to be there. But I went over, we watched movies, we talked. He was so freaking sweet. He went to like this little bakery. He bought me cupcakes and brought me a drink to work from Sonic on his break, and was just like doing all these sweet things. And we just talked about everything. And we laid with each other, and I was like really wanting to date him, you know, and like come out and like make it official. But he was about to be going to college soon. He went to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville, UTK, and he was like, you know, I don't want to date anyone because like permanently or like officially, because I'm gonna be moving away and I don't want to hurt you. And he told me like years later, and I fell in love with him that very first week. And he would, you know, eventually tell me later that he fell in love with me that first week too. But he didn't want to hurt me, and he kept saying that. He's like, I don't want to date you because I don't want to break up, because if we break up, it's going to hurt you, and I like you too much to hurt you. And I knew he was special, and I knew I didn't want to let him go. So I knew in my head that if he dated me, like, I wasn't going to let him go. Sorry, honey, you're hooked. And we, you know, I tried to convince him. I was just like, come on, you know, whatever. But he's like, I don't want to hurt you. I'm like, you're not gonna hurt me. Like, it's gonna hurt, but like you doing this, if we broke up, yes, it's gonna hurt me, but you doing this is gonna hurt me more, because that means we never would have gotten the chance. And my ring, by the way, says 3/8/15, which is our date of the first time he ever came over, where we connected and we're a couple, but just not officially, you know, like Facebook official. And I wear this every day, and I never take it off. And I finally convinced him to go official, telling him, you know, like, what if we do last, you know? Like, I told him, I'm like, what if we do make it? Because he kept trying to. He's like, I'm just scared because I don't want to hurt you. And Anyway, we became official, like out to the public right before school ended, and I was just on cloud nine. I loved him, and one thing he always told me was, when I tell you I love you, like if we don't break up, whatever, you know, when I tell you I love you, it's going to be a special time, because I'm not just going to throw that word out there because that word is thrown out too loosely. When I tell you I love you, it's because I know that I'm going to marry you. And he knew he loved me, like I said, from that first week, but he just wanted to make it special and he wanted to wait. So anyway, we were together officially, and I knew he was going to have to go away to college, which is 3.5 to 4 hours away. And I was going to be a senior, but like I didn't care. We were going to make it work, and you know, like I said, I was the happiest with him, truly, because, and even my mom, she was like, I can trust you with him. And he was sweet and loving and so kind. And to this day, we've been together for 6 years. He's never once yelled at me. Never raised his voice and yelled at me or have been mean. No, like never once. He's just not that type of guy. And like I said, from that point on, we have been inseparable. And he went away to college, obviously, and I stayed here. But what he did was he came down every other weekend to see me for a Saturday. Like, we only got one day together, and I cherished every moment of that one day we got together, because like I missed the crap out of him through the week. It sucked so much having to be away from him, but that one day we were inseparable, you know. And I remember just like crying one day and being like, I don't want you to ever leave me. And this was like at the very beginning of our relationship, because we knew we loved each other. Like I said, we hadn't came out and like said it, but anyway, I was like, I don't want you to ever leave me. And he promised. He was like, I won't. Like, I won't. We'll make it, like, make it work. But honestly, we never had any kind of fights or anything like that. Truly, we never ever did. And we've never ever had a fight. Of course we get into arguments and stuff like that, because who doesn't? But a real true fight, never have. And he promised me that, and we never questioned being with me once, and I've never questioned being with him. Unfortunately, after I graduated high school, that's when I started to get sick. You guys know I have my chronic health issues and all of that. So I started to get sick, and because of my problems, it causes a lot of issues, like with my health. But you know what? From then, he has stuck by my side through thick and thin. He's been my greatest supporter, and he even told me, he's like, I will do whatever I can to make you feel better, to get you better, to find you help, because my condition is something that is not easy. It's not something that is easy to cure. It's a long-term thing, and it's scary, it's hard. But he has been my, like I said, #1 supporter, been there with me through thick and through thin, and it's been a lot for 2 young teenagers. You know, he really manned up, and he has been with me through thick and through thin. And of course, through my senior year, we dated, obviously. Went to my senior prom together too. I went to both proms with him. And then I went to college here. Of course, he went there. I went to hang out with him up there sometimes, like at occasions. Of course, he came down here every weekend. And we talked very early on about marriage, because we knew we wanted to be married to each other, and we knew we wanted to get married. And I've never questioned that. Even growing up, I always wished that I would have a high school sweetheart, because I never wanted to be out of school and having to date around, trying to find someone. Never wanted to do the internet dating thing, and I'm so thankful that I didn't have to. And he was with me through losing my grandmother, which was the hardest thing I've ever been through. So many hard things, and he has always been my rock. So we got engaged early. I was 19, he was 20, and he proposed to me at the Parthenon, not the one in Greece. We ain't got that kind of money, honey, but in Nashville. And I am the one who picked out my ring beforehand. I didn't know when he was gonna propose to me though. He proposed to me. It was amazing and wonderful. We had a 2-year engagement because I was still 19. I got married when I was 20, 1 month away from turning 21. And we were just engaged. I'm trying to make, look, this is a long video, I know, so I'm skipping around through a whole lot of different things, but I mean, I'm trying not to bore you, you know. There is one thing I left out. He did give me a promise ring. Oh, I didn't even tell you when he told me I love you. He told me that he loved me on my, I think my 19th birthday. And it was really, really, really special, you know, because, I mean, I'll never forget it, because he said, like, when I tell you I love you, you know, it's gonna be special. And so he did. And then he gave me a promise ring. When I graduated high school, my mom and dad took me on a cruise. It was my second cruise, and he came with us, which was freaking fun. We went to the Bahamas together, and on that cruise ship, he bought me a promise ring, and truly one of my most favorite memories with him, like one of the most sweetest. It was amazing. Like, I loved that time, and that cruise was just truly so special. But that happened. Like I said, of course, we got engaged, and we had a 2-year engagement. So when it was time for us to get married, he switched schools, so from Knoxville to MTSU, which is closer, really close to us, so he could live at home and finish out his last year. So he moved back home, and then we were, you know, doing all the plans to get married and all that kind of stuff. We got married on August 17th of 2019. One of his best friends at the time, the one that I told you about from the beginning of the story, he married us, which was really special. I am a Christian, I go to church, but I really wanted, but like my church, that's a long story. Basically, I didn't want someone random marrying us. We thought it was special to have him because his friend is actually now a licensed minister. And so he was the one to marry us. All of his friends from high school, he's still best friends with to this day. He's just added new friends for that matter. So all of his high school friends, the ones that I grew up with, were on the wrestling team for that matter. They were all on the wrestling team together, and I knew were in our wedding, and that was special. And I had some of my friends from high school and then other ones, whatever, in the wedding, and it was exactly the wedding that I always dreamed of, and it was really special. And yeah, I'm sure I did leave out a lot, I'm definitely sure, but the point to get across is that he has been the most loving, sweet, caring guy that I could have ever asked for. He's always treated me with the utmost respect, love, and support, from him being 17 years old to now being 23, almost 24. And to this day, he does anything and everything for me. I cannot sing his praises enough, because I trust him more than I trust basically anyone. He's my best friend. Like, we tell each other everything, not one thing left out. We giggle together, we gossip together like 12-year-old girls at a sleepover. We do everything together. We go through the hard times together, and he still once never raised his voice. And just knowing that I ended up with someone so amazing, and I can just see, like I said, I'm a Christian. If you're not, that's totally fine, but I can see how God worked in my life and gave me him, because truly I think about what I used to think about back in the day, about the guys I went for, and I'm like, if I ever ended up with one of them, it would be bad. And the type of guy that I thought I was into, like the macho, like ha 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 guy, we wouldn't have vibed, we wouldn't have gotten along. My husband is way more just like the funny, sweet guy, not afraid to get in touch with the feminine side. He's obviously like just the best. I'm just, you know, I don't want that macho tough guy that has to prove it. Like, there's just that to this type of guy that's like not good, and I'm just not. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I just know that God gave me who is perfect for me and the person who could handle me, because not everyone would be able to stick by my side. They wouldn't want to through my health problems, but he has, and it's just been amazing. And we've been married for 1.5 years now, and yeah, finally I'm just gonna shut up. That's our love story, also my first impressions of him, and yeah, I love our story with my whole heart. I think it's sweet and lovely, and yeah, we've been inseparable ever since March 8th, 2015, just like my ring says. And then here's obviously my wedding set. So yeah, you guys, I really hope you enjoyed hearing my first impressions and our love story. I know I left out a lot, but I mean, you know. Anyway, let me know down below what you thought of this video. Make sure to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel before you leave. You can do that by hitting my face right up there. And you can watch another one of my videos by clicking right over there. It would mean the world to me if you guys would do so. Hope you have a great day or night or whenever you may be watching this. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!